Making headlines tonight, Barbados vows to continue the fight for access to concessional financing. The Barbados Light and Power Company makes its case for a rate increase. St. Joseph benefiting from several significant upgrades. And in sports, defending IPL champs Mumbai Indians eliminated from playoff contention.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Very good evening to you with this Friday edition of CBC NewsNight. I'm Ryan Broom, and we do apologize for the late start of tonight's news. Now, fresh off hosting the 15th session of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, or UNCTAD 15, Barbados Prime Minister Mia Motley has re-emphasized the need for a strong political will to combat the challenges facing the world. Now, notwithstanding the give and take during the conference, she says leaders were able to successfully conclude the Bridgetown Covenant and the spirit of Speightstown. Prime Minister Motley was a part of the panel for last night's Caribbean Economic Forum. The topic for the forum, from inequality and vulnerability to prosperity for all.
I suspect that the political will is there for the majority of the people on the earth. We all know that in 12 to 13 years' time, that it is likely, given the nationally determined contributions being advanced by countries across the world, that we will exceed, regrettably, the 1.5 degrees. I'm hoping that we can be proven wrong at Glasgow, but we're not seeing evidence of it thus far. As a result of that, we then have to go to the next best card. How do we get the funds to deal with adaptation? Because we have to adapt to living in this new world.
Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn, believes the conference, though held virtually, has opened the minds of young people to what's possible.
I think that one of the very, very key things that young people must take away from this conference isn't just that it is a talk shop, but it allows us to connect virtually and in real time. Anytime, any part of the world, persons, any part of the world who may help solve those problems. Now, 27 years ago, we did not have the kinds of technology that we have today. And I think it's important for every young person in the region to recognize that they have an opportunity to help solve problems, not just in their geographic space, but to help work with other young people across the world.
And Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, or UNCTAD, Isabel Durant, says the strength and courage of Barbados to host the 15th session gives momentum to efforts to resolve the issues affecting developing countries.
I think that it's something which reveals to the rest of the world that the voice of the South is a strong voice, not only a voice to claim about we would like to have donors to help us or to assist us. That's the past. It's how we can really build something which is solid, robust enough, which is really adapted to the crisis that we are facing.
And Governor of the Central Bank of Kenya, Patrick Njoroge, agrees young people have to be provided with opportunities to take advantage of the new technologies of the future. Now, he also believes it's critical low-income countries are given a seat at the negotiating table, especially during meetings with the big technology companies.
At the end of the day, it is our information, our data that will be used for specific purposes like the one you explained in terms of AI, etc. That's one big thing. But on the other hand, there's also we need to also be clear that there are a lot of benefits. And so even as there are risks, we need to also watch on the benefits. And I think there has been a lot of push in terms of financial inclusion in the recent years.
And Prime Minister Motley also participated in the second edition of the President's Chat with President of the Caribbean Development Bank, Dr. Hyginus Leon. Now, during that session, she stressed that Barbados will continue to fight for access to concessional funding in the face of climate change, the COVID-19 pandemic, and other vulnerability issues.
We continue to fight the battles, regrettably, that preclude us from accessing the concessional financing. And a large part of it is due to archaic and crude measurements that bear no relationship to our needs or our reality. And of course, you know that I'm talking about the use of historic per capita GDP to determine whether countries should borrow or not. We were fortunate enough to break the logjam for Barbados and Bahamas with the World Bank in the last year. But that, I mean, I'm telling you, the amount of heavy lifting that took us, and ultimately we were able to point out that exceptional access was given to countries like Latvia and Korea, and therefore there was no justifiable basis for excluding Barbados and the Bahamas from concessional funding at the World Bank, particularly in the middle of a pandemic and particularly in the face of the climate crisis.
Well, meanwhile, Dr. Leon says Barbados and other SIDS need to use different measures to say they're different. For example, duration to recover from events like hurricanes and even the COVID-19 pandemic.
If it will take us 5-7 years after a hurricane hits, or we have a pandemic, to get back to exactly that same per capita GDP in 7-10 years' time, then this is not growth to begin with, but it's equivalent to saying that our per capita GDP is in effect $2,000, because it will take you 7 years to move from 2,000 to the 10,000 that you would be back after that point in time. And so we need to measure this, propose it, and augment the vulnerability index as a means of actually making that case as to why we are different, why we need special treatment.
In other news now, after investing $300 million over the last 3 years in creating a renewable energy platform, the Barbados Light and Power Company says it needs a rate adjustment. Our Wendy Burke has more on that story.
Barbados Light and Power is charging that after a decade of no rate increases, it could no longer hold back. A recent application to the Fair Trading Commission was rationalized by the company's management as an essential part of its thrust towards renewable energy. It will also help the energy company to manage the economic and natural disaster shocks, which saw BLNP having to invest more money to correct disruptions in its network. Managing Director Roger Blackman explained the proposed hike is not the same for everyone and is based on category and usage.
We understand that there's no ideal time for a rate adjustment. We know that the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic have left some of our customers experiencing economic challenges. We've done what we can to delay applying and have proposed a rate design that minimizes the impact to customers' bills to the extent possible. Our application has proposed that increases should be no more than $6 for those customers using less than 150 kilowatt hours in a month. These customers account for 35% of the domestic service tariff group and capture a majority of our lower income customers. The typical rate increase resulting from the proposed rates is estimated to range from between 5% and 20%, depending on the tariff on which customers receive their service. I know that's a wide range, and so at this point I want to share some specifics with you, and I'll ask Angela to pull a slide up that we will walk through. But before she does that, I just want to point out that our rate application, the details of it have not yet been made publicly available.
Customer Solutions Director Kim Griffith Tang Hao says the company can no longer hold off the increase.
We've seen that it has caused significant economic impact, obviously among our customer base, and it's still being felt. And so we worked, I would say, for some time now, more than 2 years, to delay this filing. And really, unfortunately, at this stage, we can't hold off any longer. And we find it necessary, obviously, to seek the adjustment. But as Roger said, we felt the impacts as well. And we've done a number of things to try not to have to file, but we find ourselves here.
The details of the filing with the Fair Trading Commission have not yet been made public, but Griffith Tang Hao has promised a condensed version for the media once BLNP has met its statutory requirements before the FTC. Wendy Burke, CBC News.
Thanks, Wendy. Well, coming up, significant upgrades for several facilities in St. Joseph. Welcome back. Well, Attorney General Dale Marshall has been weighing in on the matter of successors for the soon-to-be retiring Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner of Police of the Royal Barbados Police Force. Now, he says the established process for appointments to those posts will be followed and dealt with by the Protective Services Commission. As such, he's unable to give a name or date when the new appointees will be announced. However, Mr. Marshall says the current commissioner and his deputy have been asked to stay on due to their skill sets.
We feel that the level of skills of the individuals concerned are such that we want to retain them in the force for as much time as possible, and therefore we have asked them to stay on. until in one case until the end of October, in another case, in the case of Deputy Commissioner, until the 18th of October. There's nothing unusual about that practice. It has happened before. In relation to the selection of Commissioner of Police, that office was advertised some months ago, and I have no lawful authority or responsibility for the police, for the Protective Services Commission, but my understanding is that interviews are scheduled in the very near future, so that I expect that in the shortest possible time, they will be able to make a recommendation as to who should take over the mantle of the Royal Barbados Police Force. But it is not a matter that requires any speculation.
Now, the Attorney General was speaking after providing an update on the $2.3 million community center at Beachmont, St. Joseph, which is expected to be completed by the end of next month. Now, Mr. Marshall, who is also the parliamentary representative for that parish, talked about its progress to date.
This facility has 3 vendors kiosks, 3 solid, lovely vendors kiosks, and it will also have a tea shop type restaurant, because we think this is an amazing location with a view of Tampa Bay and a view to the east of Barbados. And it also will provide a significant opportunity for people involved in the arts to have a display. We have a sort of gallery that has been built for that purpose. When it is finished, it will feature murals by our students, and we're hoping that some of the artists from this side of Barbados would come together and participate in that.
Now, Mr. Marshall also disclosed the land to the east of the center is to be developed for a recreational park. And staying in St. Joseph, we're hearing that government has spent under $200,000 renovating the Tent Bay Fish Market there. That facility was officially reopened this morning by Maritime Affairs Minister Kirk Humphrey and parliamentary representative for that area, Dale Marshall. Rianne Phillips provides more details in this report.
The Tent Bay Fish Market is the latest targeted by the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and the Blue Economy in its quest to improve conditions at fish markets and related facilities across the island. The work covered internal and external upgrades.
We've changed the countertops. We've taken out those tiles where the grout forms in between. We've replaced that with a commercial quartz that is non-porous, that allows us to make the necessary phytosanitary standards that are associated with modern fishing villages. I've heard you, Mr. Hackett. I heard the AG as well, and I heard you for now. In relation to having safer haul-out points, that's why I give you the commitment to work with you to make sure that you have one. And hopefully very soon here at AG, we could place the photovoltaics on the roof here as we've done at Oystons and at Bridgetown. We're going to put the photovoltaics there to generate the kind of energy to fuel back the market and generate money.
Given the spruce up, many, including parliamentary representative for the area, Dale Marshall, have been sharing their visions for the site.
I look forward to the day when at this small location, when we are able to rival what is happening in Oystins and invite people to come to Tampa Bay to experience not just the magnificent breezes and the wonderful views, but the experience cooking of seafood like no other.
Fisherfolk and residents have welcomed the works and even have their own plans to improve spots such as the access road.
We thank the ministry for renovating this nice market for us that will help us along this way. And what the fishing group of Tent Bay is trying to achieve this thing is a causeway, a concrete driveway down to the sea. So the guys with the boats, with the trailers here to my left, can have a nice smooth drive down to the beach to offload their boats to go to the sea to do their catch. So through the ministry and the Fisherfolk guys, we are trying to achieve that task starting on Sunday.
More markets across the island are scheduled to be renovated in the future. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Thanks, Rianne. To Education News now. The first few weeks of this school term in the online environment have been going well. That's according to Chief Education Officer Dr. Ramona Archer-Bradshaw, who says despite there being some students without devices and experiencing connectivity issues, the Ministry of Education is making every effort to ensure no child is left behind.
The reports have generally been positive. We are aware that there are some students who don't have devices, or some students who don't have the Wi-Fi connectivity that is needed to access the classes, and we are collecting the information right now on those students to assist them so that they are able to access. The teachers, the report from the teachers, that report is generally positive as well. As we know, the teachers have had to pivot since last year with the advent of the COVID-19 virus in our country and the pandemic. And they've been doing a very good job of ensuring that our children access education.
Now, in order for children to return to face-to-face classes, elements like vaccination rates of teachers and students, physical distancing measures within classrooms, and the general COVID-19 situation on island must be taken into consideration. Dr. Archer Bradshaw says once this roadmap is completed, a return to the classroom setting may come sooner than expected. While staying with education, a donation of tablets to students in the Christchurch East constituency will serve to greatly improve their ability to learn in school. Now, the presentation was made by Capital Media in collaboration with the Amarone Charitable Trust in memory of late broadcaster and education activist Vioma Ali. Member of Parliament for the area, Wilfred Abrams, accepted the donation and noted a similar donation last school year ensured students in his constituency received high scores in the Common Entrance examination. Now, Mr. Abrams says he welcomes the gifts, especially during these harsh economic times.
I can't overstate the importance of donations such as this. The government tries to provide, but quite frankly, it is a stretch sometimes, and although the government tries to meet the needs are not always met in a timely manner, especially on the pandemic when so much focus is on health and so much of the resources of government are in the direction of health.
Mr. Abrams also paid tribute to Vioma Ali and urged Barbadians to adopt her charitable attitude.
She was a person who did not know how to say no. If you had a worthy cause and you asked Vioma, the first answer was yes. A lot of people in Barbados concentrate on themselves and on their business. When times get hard, they double down and focus on their business. But they don't look around and see how can we help people who may one day contribute to our business or who may just need helping. We all have to do our part to put the bricks there, and we build on top of those bricks and build on top of those bricks until we reach exactly where it is that we want to go.
The Business Report is brought to you by Flow Business.
Very positive news. That was the reaction from President of the Barbados Private Sector Association, Tricia Tanis, to the announcement of government's single-window business plan. The newly installed president told the Business Report the initiative was on the table for some time and it will make doing business with government easier.
It provides a heightened ease of doing business, and we've heard that term a lot, but certainly when you're in business and you're bounced from pillar to post between one government department to the other to get simple tasks done, you begin to understand that the cost to business actually climbs, and it actually contributes to our lack of competitiveness, in the global space. So we very much welcome and embrace that announcement by the Prime Minister, and we certainly look forward to its quick implementation.
Now, admitting that there was unfinished business of the association to attend to, she said the newly installed executive would continue to work with the government on all the outstanding matters.
We do have the prices and incomes protocol that I'm sure we'll have to be engaged with in the not too distant future. And like I said, the more pressing issue right now is the vaccine mandate. We do have the ease of doing business initiatives and engagement and a slew of other issues that, quite frankly, we still are awaiting some updates on at social partnership level. So, there's a continuum of initiatives and issues that we need to speak to in that space that will undoubtedly continue, and we have to continue to work with the government and Labour on.
The COVID-19 pandemic has been a game changer for the local automotive industry, but Regional Product Manager at Courtesy Garage, Sam Gaston, told the Business Report to expect to see more electric and hybrid vehicles in showrooms next year.
Some people are moving faster than others, and a lot depends too on the availability of the models. All segments that we are accustomed to be in are not available in hybrid or electric at this time. So I think as the models roll out next year, you will see more and more SUVs. People are asking for cars. The pickup segment, I have yet to see any big drive towers, electric or hybrid pickups, for instance. You have the commercial vehicles like the buses and minibuses and those kind of things. So as next year comes, I think you will see a broadening of that. We do have some in our arsenal that will become available.
Well, we head back over to the sports studio now. Welcome back, Damian Best. Damian, what do you have for us in the second half?
Well, Ryan, we're going to continue on with this one. Barbadian boxer Cobia Soldier Brady is putting the finishing touches to preparations for his world title fight on October 29th in Washington, D.C. Now, Brady, who is currently based in the United States, will face Suleiman Segwa of Uganda in a 10-round bout for the WBC Continental Americas featherweight title. The 29-year-old has spent a year working towards making a major impact on the professional stage and says he's in great shape.
Life is a process and everything is a process. It's been a year I've been out the ring. We know my last fight, everybody know I fought for the #1 contender on Showtime last year, and we thought we won and things didn't go the way we want. We just sat back, me, my coach Floyd, my team Derek, we just sat back and we just waited for the right opportunities and be patiently waiting. I've been in the gym waiting a whole year, and then this came up, and I'm ready. We just stay the course, be patient. I'm ready for this.
Coach Floyd Seymour says Brady, who has a 15-1 record with 5 knockouts, is hungry for success.
We have to get back to the drawing board. Start to take him back to old school training. Throwing some more bricks on his back. He had to run with some bricks. He had to, push the car around the block once or twice. We had to get back to soldier training. Then we had to get back to adding some more stuff into our mix. That's where Derek comes in. Okay, Derek with TMT Promotion. Shout out to Floyd Mayweather and the TMT guys. We told you guys back in June, July when we was in Vegas. We were right there. We was right there to making this happen. So, Derek is on board with us and making everything happen. So by our training has been more intense, our mental attitude has become more stronger.
Now, if Cobia secures the victory, he is set to join the famous Floyd Mayweather camp. Derek Curry is the East Coast boxing scout and recruiter for Mayweather Promotions, and he says there are significant benefits.
So many athletes, particularly fighters, fight all their life to get to a certain plateau, but then when it's over, what do they have to show for it? A lot of them, unfortunately, doesn't have a lot to show for it. But we put all our fighters in position to be able to feed their family and live a comfortable life after boxing, because boxing is not forever.
Before I go, let me remind you to continue following TV8, and you can get more news on our social media platforms, Instagram at CBC News Barbados and Facebook at cbcnews.bb, as well as our radio stations, 94.7, 100.7 and 98.1, The One. On behalf of the entire crew, thanks for being with us over the past hour. Do have a good night and enjoy your weekend ahead.
Thanks for visiting us. To get more stories like this one, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.